going to hit the button.
Welcome to Cans of Corn, where we have corn and it's in cans.
We are already
And
pros. So,
except when it's pouring
Becky,
out
you can do
because
the
the juice cannot be contained.
introduction right about fucking
With
now.
your host, illustrious corn of the cob, corn of the cob,
Usually.
of the cobcast.
Barely. Are we even fluid?
It's a learning curve. We're learning. I promise we're learning.
Who is shy?
We are.
Wow. So we got half of the technical
Chlorophyll,
issues
more
solved.
like what?
Bear with us. It's gonna work out. It's gonna be fine. I promise.
We're discussing our late night
So would you
public access TV
would you
crackpot
remind
theories
everyone,
and
especially me,
reintroductions of
what the fuck is going
Gnostic
on?
wisdom
What are we even doing here
and
today?
secrets from the ancient Hermetics being resurrected by Carl Jung in his individuation ideas about individuation, which I took a crash course in the last couple of days. I feel like you're going to have to carry this show because I'm pretty sure you know more about it than I do.
We will see. We'll see. So someone came up with a weird headline, something like individualization and
I
individuation
don't.
and
You got to say it.
mediation.
Capitalism,
man?
once again.
So what's
The big
mediating
C.
our
That sick cunt.
individualization? Guess what? You know what I'm going to say. Capitalism.
Hope you guys enjoyed our show. See you next week.
I need to.
Yeah, no. So
I
I understand capitalism and individualism.
So that's gonna be it.
I can see how it stands in the way of the individuation aspect. And that seemed like a really subtle nuance. It's not, I guess.
Really
Never mind. I take that
within the
back. It
first
wasn't
minute.
really subtle once the words are so similar that the concept of individualism and individuation seem like they would be the exact same thing. And what I was reading led me to believe that the individualism is more about an outward difference between yourself and the world, kind of how you set yourself apart from a group, and it is more more superficial a lot of times. I mean, it's about like your hair style or your clothes or body modification. Whereas individualism is more of an inward journey and you're self-actualizing. It's more of an inner search for self. So an inward journey instead of an outward journey. Yeah, I put it in my notes. One cannot individuate as long as one is playing a
I
role
think
to
I sent you
oneself.
this
The
this quote
convictions one has about
by
oneself are the
Jung.
most subtle form of
Could you do me
persona
the
and the
favor and
most
read it
subtle obstacle
out?
against any true individuation. One can admit practically
You did.
anything,
I want
yet
to know.
somewhere one retains the idea that one is nevertheless so and so. And this is always a sort of final argument which counts apparently as a plus, yet it functions as an influence against true individuation. It is a most painful procedure to tear off those veils, but each step forward in psychological development means just that, the tearing off of a new veil. We are like onions with many skins, and we have to peel ourselves again and again in order to get at the real core. By Carl Jung, who we're going to be talking about a lot since that's like individuation is his jam.
Right. Also, interestingly, a good time to talk about Kurt Schwitters and his poem "The Onion," which is just fucking excellent.
It seemed like that's what
And
Carl
if you
Jung
got the
was on about.
time
He
and
was
want to read some
lapsing
data
insanity.
bullshit, read up The Onion.
Seems like he had
It's
some influence.
amazing.
He seems like he had some
Some people say
outside
it's a shroom
influences
trip.
himself, and he has
Maybe it
like a
is a
poetic
shroom trip.
sort of heart.
Maybe it
The way
isn't.
that he goes about trying to
But
explain things is, you know, this is fun. This is fun. It's more artistic than scientific. Yeah, I had never really heard a lot about the topic of individuation. So this is all pretty new material for me, but
mhm,
I like the concept. I was reading something that Jung was writing about, explaining the idea, and he said it's a natural transformation. He said they're natural transformation processes which simply happen to us whether we like it or not and whether we know it or not. And it goes into how this individuation is opposite. It's like a distinction. It's making yourself distinct from the pleroma, which is the totality of everything. And he goes on and on about that concept, about how about these dichotomous relationships. I guess the word pleroma itself means a wholeness or a totality, but he includes nothingness as part of everything. Everything would include this nothing. Um, so, so essentially, the only way for one of these things to exist is to acknowledge that the equivalent opposite must exist. So, um, um, or you couldn't have good without evil. You couldn't have cold without hot or light without dark. Um, I was really interested with those polar opposites. Um, and then the more I was reading, it was like you're supposed to distinguish yourself away from this mass that is everything, this pleroma. But number one, you can't do it totally. You're never gonna get to that perfect inner self-actualized self, like your perfect most natural state. You can approach it, but you can't fully ever attain it. Um, but but the more you discern yourself out, then you just it's like this big circle where you get almost to the end of the circle and you realize you're right at the beginning again. You just fall right back into the wholeness. Like the more you distinguish yourself, the more you also acknowledge that that's exactly what this pleroma would want have you do. I don't know. That's what it sounded like when I was reading it. Just these paradoxes.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to unpack right there. I wouldn't even know where to start, actually. That's a whole lot. I had something weird on
I
my mind, something like
no, I think that not
lose yourself and to find yourself, and it goes a bit along those lines, as far as I understood you, which could be totally off now, but uh, and uh,
a
there's
few.
also um, maybe this is all
Oh,
the wrong way to go about this. You probably got
oh,
some
maybe I should
more
just like read
notes on
what I
this,
wrote. I wrote
but
it, so maybe it's good. I don't know. Jung
I would
seemed to
just hold back
say to
for
me
now
that
and
thinking
let you
is a
just
step
continue.
away from actualizing our truest selves because our truest selves are the unconscious, instinctual selves we were made by nature before we began to reason out what was good or evil or why we should or shouldn't just be what nature designed us to be. He was like the psychologist. He went about I appreciate the way this man went about science, which was just like, let me take science and do it just how I feel like I should do it. Like, he may be the I don't know. I like his ideas. He's again, he's got the poet's heart. He doesn't have I mean, I think that goes back to my own frustrations with intellectualism and how I appreciate it, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like my brain was designed to eat berries in the woods, uh, catch some fish, and look at rocks. You know, I'm not necessarily sure that I would be better off if I like had to analyze everything to death more than I already do. Like I already do more than is what is bearable for a lot of a lot of people don't appreciate how it's like herding cats trying to keep up with these like different thought trains that I start and ramble off and never really finish on. But if I I think think I need to think smarter, not harder. I'm going to use my cardionosis, which is the knowledge of the heart, which just kind of sounds like you just be knowing. I like that idea. That's great. I was I was kind of
That
looking
sounds
up
dangerous.
more information about that cardionosis idea, which it sounds a lot like empathy,
Living dangerous. I can relate to
just
that.
sort of being able to conceptualize what is inside someone else's emotions and their
Huber.
heart and their intentions. But it seems like the Christians co-opted the term pretty heavily. I think it was more of an ancient Greek idea. Um, before they got a hold of it, but now when you look up that term, like all the search results are going to pull back Catholic, um, Ignatian, um, a lot of religious Christianity sites will pull up if you look up cardionosis, which is so strange because it has the base gnosis, with which is Gnostic. I guess Eastern Orthodox Christianity maybe is a little bit more permitting of that mysticism, just like the ancient truths of the world that exist, that existed in the primordial soup. Western Christianity doesn't really jive like that. They're more like rules. They just let me tell you how it is, and you have to be that way.
Yeah,
And but the rules,
yeah. It's it's a rules-based system, baby. This is how we do esoterics that way. But there are different venues, right? So in a way, it's interesting you bring up empathy because for me this is also about individuation. When you turn empathy inwards, to overcome the colonialist conditioning, you you pretty much get with the mother milk and with school and the whole upbringing, education, whatever you get schooled for the systems. And then in a way, individuation is also feeling out the bullshit and all that, and the parts you can actually build community,
yeah, that is
find your place with,
getting
you
away
know,
from those
you you need a lot of
institutional
empathy,
rules and
empathy to
expectations
navigate all
that
that
we're taught through
terrain.
school,
So yeah,
just
what I'm thinking.
societally in peer groups and yeah, with like colonialism is one, and that's unfortunately remains so omnipresent as a member of the US. We can't s- just leave other countries alone. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing in Venezuela. I don't. We don't have to talk about it a whole lot if we want to stay on this individuation topic. But thinking about colonialism and just how there are so many people who seem to be okay with how we're bombing people and closing their airspace and possibly going to start a ground offensive in the I don't really know what our goals are. I know it's stated that we're trying to shoot down uh, the cartels and stop the drug trade. But I also know that the drugs that they say that they're trying to find on these ships are not on those ships. Um, that they're largely boats that were going over to Europe. and they are full of cocaine, but they're not full of fentanyl, and they're not coming to the US. Well, whatever was in the boats,
Are
like,
they though?
I don't know, was just bringing up
I mean, there's no
how,
evidence for all that extrajudicial
and this
murder spree.
is where I think
Yeah,
that
fuck all that. What was
individualism
our
and
topic?
individuation start butting heads, because I think Americans are brought up with the idea that we need to be individuals in like individualism, and they use capital, I mean, they sell us things, they capitalize on that quite heavily. um I'm trying to think about how how it is that everyone that is backing, for instance, the system giving us the edict that we're now gonna do all of these colonial occupier activities down near Venezuela, um, and they all think that they're good individual, like they're not the sheep, they're the free thinkers. But if that's true, then why do they all think the same thing? Like, why are they all defending this bullshit all together at this?
Meanwhile, the media tries to sell us, or not really. You got those polls, opinions coming in. Most of Americans are actually against all kinds of bullshit in Venezuela. And funnily enough, it's allegedly the other way around in Latin America. And they actually looking forward to this intervention because of economy and life conditions being so bad, which is interesting when you think about the fact that the sanctioning uh, might play a role with regards to the harsh conditions in Venezuela. So again, you create a problem, you create a solution, and you get them all on board. Or what? Interesting shit. Was like sometimes I was laughing. I mean, some press outlet, sometimes which one I read, but was kind of funny and also typical. It's this self-serving colonialist attitude, and at some point you have to do something against the public will to bring the public good, yada yada, and there you go, off with our new intervention. Funnily, um, you also need to colonialize yourself first to go through with all this bullshit, to actually go along with the mainstream, to condition yourself to make money, you know? That's probably all what this bullshit is about, to just keep systems going. It's probably not even about the oil, might be the military Keynesianism, Keynes, but as isn't. And with military, so you keep
Yeah,
your
oh, I heard
fucking
something about.
economies afloat with producing weapons of war, and you need a lot of crisis and wars to sell your fucking weapons. Work with the EU, they seem to be in a lot now with going to war with Russia. So yeah, there will be more on this channel on that topic next. So, uh, yeah, some more thoughts on the other stuff, but how about your notes? How far have we made it into the notes before we went on this fucking tangent? Life is always creeping back in. We cannot even
Yeah.
talk about,
Okay, I've got another young quote for
psychology.
us. It's and it is about
Can't
let's
have
go
our
back to
fucking shrooms in
individuation,
peace.
and it's
You're
why
always
why
coming
are you
up
looking
on
around
a
for help?
tangent, and
Do
then
you believe
reality
that help
kicks
will come
in.
from outside? What is to come is
Yeah,
created in you and from you.
cursing
Hence, look into
so hard
yourself.
now.
Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is like yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Um, yeah, I think he he is talked a lot about dreams. He said that if you want to get heavy into taking this inward journey where you learn about your truest self and your nature and how to bring yourself closer to that um, that person, which he identifies as almost a separate entity. Um, it seemed different than the concept of a homunculus because it didn't seem like he was saying there's this thing in your brain that's in charge. Um, he seems really adamant that you are in charge, but that there is this other spiritual dual self inside of you, and that is the perfected version of yourself. And you can communicate with this other um, in a way that can almost be like hearing another person's voice talking to you. You can have conversations with yourself. And other than hosting those conversations with yourself, oh, and he got into like a concept of a sorcerer and their stone, and like he was talking about maybe how sorcerers had like a literal touchstone, like some kind of grounding device that they would keep with them to sound like a mindfulness exercise of just something to bring you back to yourself and remember who you are. Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, the stone of wisdom is a thing in alchemy, so that might also refer to that one. Uh, it's the thing the whole process is about, essentially. Also, creating gold as a side
Hmm.
process, but it's about
Yes.
creating the stone of wisdom, and so that's interesting. Um, so you talked about dreams, and there's more to that. That would be one way to get in contact in a way with this inner me, this other you.
He like
And there's a few ways to skin the cat. He also talks about meditation, um, a lot actually, and yeah, there's another thing he did studies on Paracelsus, some weird medieval alchemist from Germany who also did a lot for medicine, essentially. And homeopathy is mainly on his work, grounded on his work. Uh, that guy was pretty fascinating, and he was interested in his methods, how he worked, and he was
The other guy,
also
what was
coming
the
from
the
psychology and from
older
therapy
alchemist?
and
What was his name?
was working on archetypes. And he tried to bring it
Was
all
he
together.
was doing
And
archetypes?
interesting, interesting side note. Paracelsus, Theophrastus von Hohenheim or something. No, he was doing alchemy and was running around as medic, field medic,
What?
was hired and saved some dukes' lives, even whatnot. Was a bit of a legend at this time, also a bit of a crazy guy who just out of nothing beheaded one of his pupils,
Those are the days.
allegedly,
That's what we need to
because he
bring
got on
back,
his
is just being
nerves
able
with
to
some silly
behead people that are
questions or
annoying us
whatnot,
too
and he was
much,
the
I think.
master. Just
The world would
and
be
he was running around with
better
this
place.
massive giant sword, two-handed long sword, and just beheaded
Well,
the guy out of nothing.
it's no
And we were
good
like,
denying
what?
your shadow self,
He was,
honestly.
he was, he,
It exists, so let's not pretend
uh,
it doesn't.
he was, he was an angry man. Sometimes I imagine Van.
I wrote down the
Just
archetypes. Yeah, and I wrote down
that as a side note.
about dreams,
No,
how what Jung was thinking
it
about
works.
dreams.
The shadow would be one of the archetypes. There's a few of those. Um,
Like everyone
so the
is
interesting
every
thing is he found
about
those
this.
archetypes pretty much in everyone, and it's more this, more that, but this is how he was also investigating the collective subconsciousness, and this is his theory. Yeah, that the archetypes are so natural in a way and so persistent in everyone's human experience in a way, in the psyche, that there is something collective about this experience.
Well, I
And
don't.
this is how he,
I think that
yeah,
nobody came up with these
essentially makes
ideas,
this
man. Like these
idea of.
ideas
I don't
existed.
even know if
Somebody
he
might have.
came up with that idea
Yeah.
or if it was, I don't know, Schopenhauer or something. Could have been him.
You can't like own ideas,
Maybe it's even
man.
older than that. I
There
don't know.
are our ideas.
Already there in the subconscious.
There's
Mm,
never there's never enough
yeah,
puns.
there we go.
Oh,
They are on you if you're
so
lucky.
Jung said that the natural transformation
Okay, enough with the
processes
puns.
announce themselves mainly in
Continue with the
dreams.
script, whatever it is.
And he suggested people keep a detailed dream journal, noting any powerful figures, emotions, or motifs. Focus on characters who feel distinctive or carry strong energy. And there's 4 steps to analyzing your own dreams. First step is to identify the archetypal role each figure might embody using recognized archetypes. And I have them all written out. I don't know. We can like name them here in a minute. No, I'll name them now. Okay, so the 12 archetypes are the innocent. I'm going to run out of fingers. The everyman, the hero, the caregiver, the explorer, the rebel, the lover, the creator, the jester, the sage, the magician, and the ruler. And I was wondering if this isn't what tarot is based around, because those sound a whole lot like the. Well, maybe they were named something different in this
I'm missing the wise
interpretation.
man
Okay,
and the
reflect on
shadow.
personal
The fuck,
associations
man?
by
Where
asking
the
what qualities
eyesight
or
coming from?
situations these figures might symbolize in your life right now.
What's your source?
Um, explore multiple layers of meaning
Mm,
and use this I think this came from the Jungian Society of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, some dream book stuff. I don't know, man.
They seemed to think that they knew what they were talking about young. I just
Aha, gotcha.
um use guided dream interpretation tools or expert resources informed by Jungian psychology for deeper insights. Yeah, when I was reading something else, I do remember like the wise men, and he did talk about doing shadow work quite a lot. I'm trying to think. Have you had any good dreams lately? Yeah. Do you have dreams often?
Me, uh, probably, but I'm mostly doing some kind of weird jobs
Probably the
in my
man.
dream time, so I don't remember them. Someone else is exploiting me because my dream must be fucking excellent, so I have no access to them anymore. Someone else is making a lot of money with my dreams. I'm pretty sure about that. Otherwise, I might be actually living it. So, uh, ac- my body is just shutting off. Just there's just nothingness, and it hugs me, and I hug the nothingness, and then boom, back into dream life.
I can't remember
No,
a lot of my recent
I don't know.
dreams. I had
Might be the smoking.
I had one back when that electromagnetic storm happened and everybody
So
was
much for
seeing
the
the
dreams.
aurora borealis down in the middle of the United States. And I assume
I
other
don't
pla
care about
I don't
dreamlets.
know if you went outside during that time. You couldn't see it with your naked eye, but if you put the camera filter up, the sky was red and green, which was kind of neat. I think that's probably the only reason to go someplace cold, incredibly cold, would be to see the aurora borealis. I would imagine that an event like that would stimulate
Yeah, you could see them
dreams.
actually.
Um,
Geomagnetic storm. There was a
if
pretty
more
intense one,
increased
and you could
electromagnetic
see them further
waves
south.
are in the atmosphere, and you don't think so? I don't know. Maybe no. Was just thinking
No,
if the magnetic
no,
I don't know if the magnetic fields, well,
it
since dreams
sounds.
are brought
Why not?
on by a
Why
certain
not? No.
kind of electromagnetic wave that's happening in your brain,
Do
would
dreams have to do
exposure
with
to
magnetic
natural
fields? I don't.
Mhm. Why are we even talking about Jung then? Holy cow. You picked the wrong topic if you didn't wanna speculate about
You like
dreams.
speculations regarding dreaming? I do not. Can we go back to the script? We're talking about
It seemed like he was into, like,
dreaming.
automatic
Dreaming is
automatic
just
writing.
one way
That,
to
seven
experience
sermons to the
this
dead
process of individuation,
manuscript
which is what
was
I
pretty
wanted to
wild.
talk about.
It's
So could
at
we?
first I thought it was actually by this Basilides guy, um, who was writing back in the 3rd like 300 CE. But then later on, come to find out, it was just a poetic allusion that Jung was making back to that guy, saying, "Oh, I translated this from that ancient philosopher." When really it was Jung himself who wrote it in 1916. And that's another thing about Jung. That's something about um, philosophy in general that I think gets lost too often is just how recently these ideas were presented just a little over 100 years ago. And clearly they were in, here we are 109 years later talking about it. And that's something. That gives us hope that of my theory of 300 years from now, we're gonna be really popular. That's when our peak cult following is gonna hit. Okay, I have it planned out. I don't make the rules. I just saw it in my meditations.
300 in 300 years. It's it's a lot. Yo, I mean, he is to be honest about this. He isn't the only one talking about individuation. I think he also relied a lot on again Schopenhauer.
He
Probably was a
would
big
have loved
inspiration to
cults.
him.
He would have had a
There's
great
a
conversation
lot
about
of
cults with
stuff
us
going
because
on
I
before.
think that he
I'm also thinking about,
was pro cult.
as you just mentioned, cults. I'm also thinking about cults. This is
No, I
not
mean pro cultist in the
mm,
positive way that we were talking about it earlier. Not like the capitalistic
certainly.
exploited version of what a cult is,
No,
but that actual
I
inner
don't, yeah, maybe,
cultivation of the self that sounds
yeah,
exactly like
yeah, certainly after
individuation.
we told him, yeah, yeah,
It sounds like developing your
yeah,
cultists. It
yeah,
sounds like the same
that
thing.
one he would.
Different people explaining that same process of doing your shadow work or um,
Right.
spending time having conversations with yourself. I'll do that personally if when I'm upset about something, and maybe this is probably one of the biggest hangups that I have had through my life with with getting into um, direct conversations that are emotionally charged is I I know that I will shut down if I'm having too emotional of a conversation. It does give me that temporal lobotomy feel where I cannot think, I can't reason anymore. Um, and so that I've really had to work to develop that time with myself where I won't push off what had me so upset in the moment.
Hmm.
Like I don't have a high emotion interaction and then just push it off and ignore it. Like I will sit with my upset and sit with my frustration and really try to understand what it was about what was going, like what the root of my upset was, what was the real reason that it affected me that way. um I can't I hardly can understand how um can understand how couples therapy would work,
Yeah.
but I can also understand when you are not even just a couple, but like with a parent or with a child or some kind of close relationship, when anytime that emotions get tangled up in it, like seeking to have that immediate conversation almost sounds more harmful. Like it can cause more damage than understanding. Like you don't get closer to finding a solution. Some I
Depends. Sometimes perhaps when you escalate things up right away and then the thing is out of the box and everyone can, it really depends. But what I was also thinking about while you were mentioning all that is coming back to automatic writing. Uh, that's a thing for me. I'm a lot in this flow state where things just happen. Also, synchronicities and whatever is going on, but also in production, like when you're dealing with art, there's something weird going on with my abstract shit that's kind of magic, and other people can see it too. So this is kind of reaffirming in a sense. You get contact with the subconscious and the collective part when you interact with the art over friends and whatnot and get some. So there's a lot going on right there. And that, I guess, helped me in a theory also to hear in a way to really get further along with my individuation, however you dice it, and which in return helps me to not get driven so much by emotion in
I
situations I can't
can,
control.
yeah,
You
relate to
people ask
that.
me why I'm so poor. If it's maybe the cannabis, and I'm like, yeah, might be,
When
but
you
I don't know, man. You
purposefully
try some.
face
Why not
those
twist? I can
ideas or those parts of
probably not
yourself
just the
that
cannabis.
are
I mean,
more challenging, when you there's an empowerment. If you take accountability for doing it, then you start to understand that you can work on those things on your own terms. So then when you're presented with a more surprise situation,
mhm.
you sort of already have worked out how you feel about it in advance of it happening. Or maybe it's happened before, but um,
Yeah, you kind of set the table. you're not really surprised now anymore about some visitors, you know. You already got the food cooked, you already got the save. Yeah, just sit the fuck down and eat. Shut you know,
I am done.
you're prepared for
I
all
only
this shit.
have like a couple more words
Oh, I
on
see
written
that.
on this third
Oh,
page,
that's the
and
thing.
it just says Gnosticism
Huh.
question mark,
Where are we at
Hermeticism
with our script?
question mark, eg- spiritual exercises, and there's not a question mark after that. But Jung was talking about finding these spiritual exercises written by Ignatius to be a helpful program. And mm,
Uh-huh.
exercitia spiritualia, exercitia
Which one?
spiritualia.
Ignatius de la Loya, or which one? This is just names popping up. I think that was a Spaniard.
Yeah, you certainly can. Um,
Yeah, I guess you could also make up your own. So this is just more of an starter, maybe. You know,
no,
there's
I mean,
tarot
I
cards.
think
I don't know. There's a few ways
I
to
think you
play
can
with it.
experience
Can be
ritualism
playful. Doesn't have to be straight up
without it
hardcore.
being a really strict religion. Religion, I think ritualism is sort of one of the you know, draw-ins for religion. I think religion gets people interested in following their rules by telling them that there are all these cool, fun rituals that you get to do. Like you get to light 4 candles and put them in a circle, and say special poems. To... Well, if you do it kind of sporadically, though,
So
just
fucking
like
boring.
in the moment, instead of
Yeah,
it
put me to sleep.
being a
Nice. Wait, I
begrudging
gotta stand
task,
up
like
to
you
sing?
have
Okay, I'm
to,
standing up and singing.
or
That's good timing
you feel
because I nearly
beholden
fell asleep,
to
man.
the strict religion of it, then it can be fun. Like if you just feel like this is the right night that I need to auto write some document and feel out how I feel about it, and then douse it in oil
It
and
was
burn it,
totally dead for me.
and put the ashes on my forehead or something. I Whatever you feel like doing. Again,
See, this is how I also got to tarot, you know, magic, uh, Gnosticism, all that kind of stuff, because I couldn't really relate with religion and all the rituals and all the prepared bits you get shoved down your throat, and there wasn't much of a dialogue going on, which on the other hand I had in my online niche where people were talking about this kind of stuff, and you had some really interesting back and forth going on, and at some point studying all this shit and then working with tarot to just learn about myself, reflect about things going on. I realized you gotta kind of swim with the whole deck to surf life and, in a way, accept all the mean or bad news that might come with it, and get to see things and
I think,
head at them
tarot
straight
it's sort
and,
of
and
like it's that
work at that
touchstone.
part
It's
just
that
bit by bit.
earthing.
There's
It's
otherwise
a physical manifestation.
you're just gonna be
I
fucked
mean,
like
it's a
the rest
meditation
and going to
tool.
buy the next shit. I mean,
It gives you something to ground with. Um, where instead of just dealing with your ideas, you sort of have um
mhm.
oh man. Last time I did a tarot pull, one of the last times, it was something frustrating for me.
Symbols and ideas
And
which are probably way older,
I think it's funny,
or
and I kind of get mad at myself
maybe the
though
same
when I
age
have a
especially,
tarot pull and I interpret it as something frustrating because I'm like, oh, I know that that already existed inside of my own mind and inside of my own psyche. It's not like I pulled that card and the card is the reason that that issue exists in my life right now. That issue exists, and the card is only a reflection of whatever I let it mean.
in that moment. Yeah. And then funny thing is you get the same card in another deck, another time, different situation, different material conditions,
Yeah. Yep.
and you get
I
older, man. Aspect
where are your where are
doesn't
your
feel the
notes?
same, but
Where's your preparation?
well,
Well, we could talk about
so that
Abraxas.
was the end of it.
Um,
What a weird show, man. Wow. Right here. This my preparation. This is my flow state. Welcome to the show.
click,
I'm
click.
totally convinced we're doing excellent. This is good stuff, people. You should actually hear you the usual shit and click all the buttons and whatever
No, you're not.
before we just vanish, you know, due to lack of interest and
I can
both
I
got
wouldn't
bad interest,
it'd be hard to
depression, and
fault you
decided
if you
enough and
decided to do that, but
go
don't.
on to a mountain
I would miss you.
and never
So,
visit the internet again because the internet fucking could be happening. Mm, good.
talk about Abraxas. Talk about the Tetragrammaton.
So, will you be my guest in the Zoom session? I bet we can think about
I
some
like that.
juicy shit we can talk about.
Drugs and rock and roll.
I can already think about more juicy shit. How about time machines and sex? I don't know. Sex sets. Yeah. Mainly time machine and sex. All that you're gonna get in the Zoom eventually
Buck
not.
ice.
But you'll get us. And you'll find out we're not that bad sometimes.
No, it was an hour exactly.
Good time to end the show, right? Okay, see you. See you soon. I'm gonna hit the buttons. And
I'm
let's
not
check
going
the
anywhere.
time.
What do
Oh,
you
we
think?
got